Good morning, friends, and welcome back to Quick Thoughts Devotions. My thoughts this week, and hopefully I'm causing yours to be this week as well, on the sufficiency and the supremacy of Jesus Christ. My friends, if you read through the scriptures, specifically as we bring out portions of the book of Hebrews this week, there is no doubt, there's no way that you can contradict that Jesus is all sufficient and that He is supremely supreme, if I may be redundant this morning. I'd like to take the thoughts a bit further. We spoke last segment about Jesus being not only sufficient to be the foundation and leadership for our faith and religion, but that He is above every other man, certainly above Moses, as was the specific example. This week, or this segment, I'd like to focus in upon the fact of rest and reward. Now, the picture of rest and reward, the promised land, that picture that was picked up in the Old Testament, given to the Hebrew people as they wandered through the wilderness, and God had a plan for them. A place of rest, a place of reward. And that's a thought that is echoed in much Christian literature and music and poetry. And I want to look at today how that Jesus is the only sufficient and the ultimately supreme source for rest and reward. Hebrews chapter 4. We'll pick up the reading in the middle of a thought, but in verse 8. It says, "For if Joshua had given them rest," that's referring to the Old Testament nation of Israel, "God would not have spoken of another day later on. So then, there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. For whosoever has entered God's rest has also rested from His works as God did from His." Now, my friends, that picture that was originally given to us, and we open up the reading here, referring back to Joshua, who picked up the leadership of the Hebrew nation, or the Israel nation of Old Testament. That picture was given as a pattern. It was not only the promised land that was for their rest and for their reward, but it was a pattern, so that you and I today could read over this, and with the help of the Holy Spirit, begin to see that God has for His people, just as in the reading says, a specific rest. Now, I say that's twofold, friends. There is a rest, there is a reward that can only be found by the child of God in this life, and it surpasses. That's where we get phrases like the peace that surpasses all understanding, joy that surpasses all understanding, that rest, that reward that can only be found through a true relationship with Jesus Christ. My friends, that's why it's not good enough to be a member of a church or any other such thing. You must truly be converted. You must truly be a child of God, or you just don't have access to that. In this life, we go through many trials, tests, we go through hard times. Everyone does. But the difference is, for the true child of God, we have an all-sufficient and all-supreme Jesus giving us rest and reward even while we're here. Although, friends, that's just a foretaste of what is to come. Certainly the ultimate fulfillment, the picture of God's rest, will be found when we leave this life, or when time is no more and all of God's children are gathered home to be in eternal bliss, eternal rest, and eternal reward. My friends, those things can only be found through Jesus. They cannot be found through religious practice or rite or ceremony of any kind, but they can be found and always will be found in a true relationship, in a converted, born-again, believing relationship in Jesus Christ.